It's 2007, and after 6 years being an assistant coach, I'm about to be hired for my first head coaching job. I'm going to be at Arkansas State. The AD is taking a risk on a young, ambitious coach. I'm eager, I'm enthusiastic, I'm scared to death. But I want to prove that I'm a great teacher, that I can motivate young people, and that I can lead a program to success. I'm going to put this program on the map. You see, I'm inheriting a program that had never had a winning record. In fact, in the year prior, they had only ever won one game in that season. So there was nowhere else to go but up. So I worked extremely hard, put in the time, the effort, the miles recruiting, poured myself into the job day in, day out. We were going to be successful. We were going to win. And we did. A whopping 15 games. Over the next 3 years, I won 15 times out of 60 games. I wasn't going to be in this business long with that type of record. So I had lots of questions. Why wasn't this working? I had failed. I felt disappointed, defeated. I had fallen short. So in 2010, I made the difficult decision, swallowed my pride, and gave up my first head coaching job to go back and be an assistant. I recognized I still had a lot to learn. Over the next 4 years, I did just that. I studied the game. I studied some of the most successful coaches in the business. I watched training sessions. I watched film. I read books. I read articles, anything I could get my hands on so that I could be ready for the next opportunity. I picked the brains of anyone that would allow me to. And in 2014, January of 2014, the University of Idaho was looking for a new head coach. See, Vandal women's soccer had only had one winning season in the previous 12 years. I was the guy they had picked to turn things around. Again, I was eager, I was riding high, I was enthusiastic, a little less scared this time. But I was ready. I was confident. I was more prepared this time to do the things that needed to be done to be successful. Use what I had learned to be successful. So I hired my staff, and we worked extremely hard. We were going to win. We were going to win trophies, championships, go to the NCAA tournament. We trained our team even harder. In August of 2014 rolled around. We began our preseason, a rigorous training schedule. We put our players through the paces. We raised the standards, the expectations. Our players were confident. They walked around with their head held high, proud to wear the iVandal logo. We were a different program. We were going to be successful. Right out of the gate, we went 0-9. We lost our first 9 games. We got outscored 24-2. That's not very good. We still had struggles. But on September 26th, 2014, we won our first game that season. It was an overtime thriller. It was an emotional day. We all cried. At least I did. My players think I'm a little bit of a crybaby. You see, we put so much time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into that first win. We were sure this was going to turn things around for us. But it wasn't. And we limped through the season, having 4 wins, 14 losses, and 3 ties. In my first 4 years as a head coach, I had coached 77 games. I had won 19 of them. 19 wins out of 77 opportunities. I still had a lot to learn. When you go through tough times like this, you can't help but ask questions. have doubts, analyze every word, agonize over every decision that you make. Everything you tell your players, your staff, your recruits. Why wasn't this working? Why weren't we winning? What was going wrong? Things were not going according to plan. So, the lessons that I were able to learn basically started from this. Life is hard. Winning is hard. We tell our players every day, winning is hard. So in 2014, our coaching staff went back to the drawing board. We examined everything we possibly could of why we were failing and how could we use these failures to lead us to success. And as in life, we all know, things rarely go according to plan. And luckily for me, a good friend and colleague of mine gave me this great quote by boxer Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So rewind to the summer of 1999. I had it all. My life was perfect. I had just graduated college the May before. I had gotten a great job. I had even gotten married. Life was perfect. She was in medical school. We had just bought a new house. White picket fence, the whole 9 yards. Things were perfect. A year later, she walked in the door and asked for a divorce. My life wasn't perfect. Where had I failed? Now, all of us face different moments like this in our life, these tough times, when we lose a job unexpectedly, we fail a test that we've studied for, our relationship might be falling apart and crumbling at the seams, or God forbid, you lose a loved one. These are those moments when you realize that life is hard. It's not easy. And in these moments, we have a choice to either lay down and quit, or pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and go again. Go again and realize that failure is part of the process. And that's lesson number 2. Failure is part of the process. We must be willing to understand that failure is part of the process. But today with technology, we don't have to face failure very often. We have our answers at our fingertips. We get our answers now, when we want them now. We want the perfect house now. We want the perfect job now. The perfect spouse. The perfect body. And you don't have to look too far past the latest fitness craze or the latest diet pill or whatever will make us feel successful. Tanning beds, whatever it is. Anything to make us feel successful without having to face the pain of failure. So I ask the question, what are we teaching our children today? Are we teaching them that failure is wrong? Or are we teaching our children that they shouldn't try because they aim to be perfect? Or are we teaching them the value of failure is a necessary element to growth and progress? As a parent myself, my wife and I are blessed with 2 beautiful daughters. And nothing is more painful and difficult as a parent than to watch your kids struggle. Not be good at anything, or fight through adversity, or be in pain. But it's these moments as parents that we have to teach our children the value of failure. That it plays an important part in our lives. And that when you get knocked down, you need to get back up. And you have to keep trying. And you must learn to celebrate where you are in your life. Because it's either a product of your growth, or it's a place that's going to help you grow. Embrace it, and be willing to fail. The point number 3 is you must be willing to fail. You have to be willing to take risks. So in 2000, after my divorce, I had a decision to make. I was at a fork in the road, a crossroads. I could stay in my comfort level, or I could carve a new path. And I decided to leave my $45,000 a year paying job to go back to school and begin my coaching career, knowing full well I was going to go in debt, making only $8,000 a year. But like Daniel Burnham says, make no small plans, for they have no magic to stir men's blood. You have to be willing to take a chance, to take a risk, to teach your children that failure is a healthy thing and not be afraid of it. To take a chance and not be afraid to fall down and get back up. Taking a risk when you need to, and that it's a necessary element, and just to simply persevere through life. My father taught my brother and I many, many times that you simply have to persevere. The people that have most success in life are the ones that persevere. Stick it out. Don't quit. When you fall down, don't quit. When you struggle with something, don't quit. And as we move forward the next step is as you learn from those successes and those failures, that you must be accountable. Lesson number 4 comes out of accountability and ownership. In preseason of 1997, I was a senior in high school, or senior in college, I apologize. I was entering my senior year of college. I was the returning starting goalkeeper for the University of Tulsa. I was a 3-year starter. I had just got back from England where I had prepared to get ready for the season. Things were great. But I had become complacent. And a freshman goalkeeper came in and beat me out of my starting spot. I was angry. I was mad. I was upset and embarrassed. It wasn't my fault. What were the coaches doing? I was the starting goalkeeper. I was the senior captain. I was the one that was supposed to be on the field. So I was going to show them. I was just going to quit. I wasn't even going to show up the next day. I didn't answer my phone the next day. Didn't want to talk to my teammates, my coaches. Didn't want to talk to anyone. Things were good until boom, boom, boom. Knock on the door. It wasn't my teammates. And I sure as heck knew my coaches weren't coming to my house. That was my dad. I knew that knock. And in that moment, although I knew he wanted to wring my neck and smack me across the head to get me out of my funk, it will always go down as a key moment in my life. Because he didn't allow me to wallow in my sorrow, feel sorry for myself, and he didn't yell at me. He treated me like a man. And he taught me the importance of being accountable for your actions and taking ownership of where you are in your life. He taught me how to pick myself back up, dust myself off, and go again. He taught me how to fight and compete and be a great teammate. And I did just that. I fought my way back into the team, ultimately contributing in a couple games, but being a positive teammate and leading from the bench. Now granted, that was 20 years ago, and there's all sorts of arguments over this generation versus that generation and how we communicate with one another, but I think Coach Frank Martin from South Carolina got it right this past year when he talked about in the Final Four in the NCAA tournament that it's not the kids that have changed, it's us as parents. We are the ones that have changed. We are the ones that continue to try to make life easier. Teach our kids to play it safe and take fewer risks. But we rob them of the love and the discipline and the experience that failure teaches them, and the importance that failure plays each and every day in our lives. It's important for us to encourage our children to fail. Encourage them to pick themselves back up and go again. To embrace what life offers and find a solution. And that importance that failure plays in teaching us how to grow and ultimately have success. And that leads me to my final point, which is finding your why. And for our program in 2014, we went back and we examined everything. We asked the difficult questions. Why were we doing this? Why weren't we winning? What was our purpose as a team? Was it only about wins and losses? Or was there something more? And with our players and coaching staff, we came together to develop our core values, our team identity, our why, how we would measure our players day in and day out. Win or lose, this is how we would measure our players. That they would give everything they could towards their team, something greater than themselves. And this is how we do this on a daily basis. That we measure our players how many times they pick themselves back up after failing. How they embrace their role within our program. How they sacrifice for their teammates. And ultimately put the team first. Now, our players struggle with this still every day. The importance of failure and how it plays in their life. That life is hard. And that you must be willing to, that failure is part of the process, and you must be willing to take risks, and that you're accountable each and every day for your choices on and off the field. But they also know their why, which helps them through those tough times. And to be honest with you, they've done pretty well. Because not only have we set numerous program records, we have won back-to-back regular season championships over the last 2 years. Only losing 2 games out of our last 23 matches against Big Sky competition. 17 wins, 2 losses, and 4 ties. We have numerous all-conference award winners, academically and athletically. And we also currently hold the second longest home winning streak in the country, dating back to October 17, 2014. Most importantly, we have a group of young women and a program where our players understand why we do what we do and how to have success through failure. You know, in case you were wondering what my why is through all my struggles and all my difficulties, thank you very much.